We're back again. We've made what I think is the best, well, in my opinion anyway, the best Super Rugby 15 in the whole entire competition's history. So you got the Super 12, you got the Super 14, Super Rugby Pacific, etc., including the South African teams. And we're making, I guess, the best team in history. So let's jump into it. Same as always, if you disagree or whatever, that's fine. Chuck it in below. But I think all these players deserve it. In my own opinion, they all deserve to be in. So we got the front row. So we start here. This could be controversial already because we don't have Osterump in there. You got Tendai Matawarira. You got the Beast. So it's a bit of a tough one because Os, he did play. And I do have a minimum of 50 cap rule in this as well. So if they never played more than 50 games, then, you can't put him in. But with Os, he did play a lot. He did play for the Cheetahs. He did play for the Cats, etc., etc. But I just think with the amount of games that the Beast has played, 159 caps for the Sharks, 6 tries, 54% win rate, 6'2", 120 kilos. I think, watching it growing up, you knew from like 2007 through to 2019 that the Sharks would hardly lose a scrum if it's the Beast's fault. There might be the odd occasional penalty here and there, but in a day-to-day basis, no way. The dude was solid. He's one of the strongest, and that's why he got the nickname the Beast. So I think I'll put him at number 1 there. Just purely consistent rugby player. Then at number 2, this is yet again controversial with this. There's, great players who just missed out, like Kevin Mialamu. Andrew Hall, like a couple of great players, Dan Coles, people like that, Stephen Horwell, etc., etc. I might have gotten his name wrong there, but I go with Cody Taylor here, playing for the Crusaders from 2013, 134 caps, 54 tries, which is insane for a freaking hooker, right? A 77% win rate, which is crazy. You nearly win 80% of the games you play in. And he won 7 titles, which was all in a row, all the way until this year in 2024, where the Crusaders had their worst year in history. And he's 6 foot and 108 kilos. Very mobile hooker as well. I just really enjoy the way the guy plays. Then you got number 3. You got Carl Heyman. Man, imagine the Beast, Cody, and Carl Heyman in a scrum. They're not going to lose a scrum. And he played for the Highlanders from 1999 to 2007. He could have played more, but he went and played over in England and in France. He got 81 caps, 3 tries, a 49% win rate. And for the Highlanders, a 49% win rate is really, really good. Okay, the Highlanders, for many, many years, they were like the bottom 3 teams every single year. He's 6'4" and 120 kilos. He was one of the first, I guess, props who was kind of, taller than 6'2" sort of thing. Now we move into the second row. I got Brad Thorne. So a lot of people, could choose a lot of, you could go Brody Retallick, Sam Whitelock, Bucky's Buata. You could go a lot of players here. But Brad Thorne, the dude, man, he's just so smart. He's solid. His defense was great. And me being a Springbok supporter and also growing up when I was in South Africa, obviously a Lions supporter, and my New Zealand team, I guess, was the Hurricanes. And Brad Thorne was just thumping people. He come back from rugby league over in Australia. He played for the Australian team, actually, and he came back and played for the All Blacks and just was killing it, man. The dude was putting shots on, back when you were allowed to put shots on in rugby, I guess. But anyway, played for the Crusaders for 10 years, 2001 through to 2011. 92 caps, 11 tries, a 64% win rate, 4 championships, and he's 6'5" and 114 kilos when he was playing. And the dude is now like coaching. He played International Rugby League, he played Origin Rugby League, won the World Cup in that, won the World Cup in Union. The guy, wherever he goes, he wins championships. That's the type of guy he is. Then you got Victor Matfield, same thing. Man, the dude's a leader. 2001 through to 2015, 140 caps, 8 tries, 61% win rate, 3 titles with the Bulls. And those are the only titles any South African team ever won as well. and he's 6'7" and 117 kilos. So he deserves, everything, every accolade he gets. We move into the back row, the flankers, the loosies. So I change it up at number 6. I know a lot of people go, you should have a blindside. Look, I've played rugby my whole life, okay? Nowadays, there is no such thing as like a proper 6 and an open side. Pretty much every flanker needs to be able to do the whole job, because it's become a game now where every player should be able to do rucking, every player should be able to do tackling, pilfering, you should be able to steal the ball, all that type of stuff. That's how rugby is now, especially with the coaching and the kind of knowledge we have now. It should be available for anyone. So I'm putting George Smith, the dude, man. I don't know about you, what era you grew up in, but comment below if you grew up in the era where George Smith was like the best. Him and Richie McCaw for many years would just battle it out to see who's the best in the whole competition. I mean, every time, it's the ball. As soon as there was a ruck, George Smith's in there stealing that ball, penalty every single time. And those dreads, he really stood out. Yeah, definitely a player you can just fully respect, even though you support teams against him. There was never like a hatred. It was always just, this guy is just such a good player. He played for the Brumbies and only played for the Reds at the end of his career. From 1999 through to 2018, 164 caps, 20 tries, a 57% win rate for an Australian team. That's really good. And it only dropped down because of the Reds. They had a pretty crappy year that year. I mean, Reds, until recent, like maybe the last 10 years, they've always been the worst Australian team. 2 titles with the Brumbies, 5'11", 103 kilos. We moved to number 8 with Kieran Reid. I originally had actually David Pocock there at number 8, but I had to go Kieran Reid. Also at number 6, I mean, the players that could have made it is, Jerry Collins, Jerome Kino, even Skulkberger. These players all were great, but I just think George Smith has the full package. He could tackle, he could run, he could steal the ball, with Skulk as the bruiser, tackler, and then you had Jerome Kino, same thing, big bruiser, tackler, and same with the late great Jerry Collins as well, rest in peace for him. But Kieran Reid, from 2007 to 2019, he just was solid for the Crusaders. 157 caps, 25 tries, a nearly 70% win rate, 69%, 4 titles. He's 6'4", 111 kilos. I mean, the full package. And I guess he came in after a few years of Richie was there, and he could kind of mentor him and get him through. Then he had Richie, who's obviously going to be the number 7. Richie McCaw. Sorry, I put SA instead of NZ there. If only he played for South Africa, I mean, that would have been great. 2001 through to 2015, 145 caps, 27 tries, 69% win rate, 4 titles as well, same as Kieran Reid, 6'2" and 107 kilos. I mean, he goes down as, between him and Dan Carter, as the greatest ever to do it, in my opinion. Then you got number 9, Fourie de Bria. This dude, when he's playing for the Bulls, the 3 titles they won, he was a massive part of it. He can score tries, he can, make breaks, his kicking was super accurate. And back then, the number 9s weren't very, big kickers. He would sometimes kick to the touchline because his kicking was so good and so accurate. I remember even for South Africa, he took a few kicks to the sideline. So he played for the Bulls from 2003 to 2011. 112 caps, 22 tries, a 60% win rate for a South African team, which is good. 3 titles, 5'11" and 91 kilos. And if you're not used to Super Rugby is dominated by the New Zealand teams. I mean, the New Zealand Super Rugby teams, they're always the best. They're always, at least 3 teams are in the top 5 teams, sort of thing. Every now and again, you got the Bulls and Sharks or Stormers that come in there and kind of shake it up. The Lions, we had a few good years there where we made the grand final 2 years in a row and lost both times, which was sad. I was there in Wellington, watched us lose in the pouring rain. I mean, the rain was coming straight sideways. You have a jacket on, everything. You're only seeing this much out of your face, and it's still smacking you because of that swirling wind there in the cake tin. Then at number 10, and I mean, at number 9, you could have gone George Gregan, you could have gone Will Genia, you could have gone Aaron Smith. Any of these players could have easily slotted in there. So if you got them in your mind, You know, easily. They could easily get in there. Then we got number 10. We got Dan Carter. I mean, there's not many questions about this, right? Crusaders, 2003 through to 2015. 141 caps, 36 tries, 1,708 points. I mean, he's a leading point scorer in history for Super Rugby. He's a 72% win rate, 3 titles, 5'10", and 94 kilos. Just pretty much the ultimate package, you know, before injury slowed him down a bit, but running game, kicking game, open field kicking, goal kicking, tackling. The dude was just ultimate, to be honest. Then you got in centers. You got Ma Nonu. Yet again, it could go a couple different ones here, but I think Ma Nonu deserves it. He's played 16 years in Super Rugby. I mean, 2003 through to 2019. Played for the Hurricanes, Highlanders, and Blues as well. He has 1 title with the Hurricanes in 2016. 174 caps, and for the way he plays, it just shows how much of a beast he is. 56 tries, 6 foot, and 108 kilos. I remember him when he burst on the scene, like I said, me growing up in South Africa in maybe just 2002, 2003, 2004 sort of thing. And Ma Nonu, I remember just coming onto the scene, and the Hurricanes are like my New Zealand team, so whenever they played games against other teams, I'd support them. And he was just a beast, man. I remember him and Tana Umanga in the centers, and then Conrad Smith eventually, yeah, absolute beast. And his game just got better and better as it kept going. Then you got Sterling Mortlock, the ever-reliable, the guy who put 100% into every single game. He was such a big part of the Brumbies team. That was, you know, one of the best teams for many years, and in the late 90s and early 2000s. Played for the Brumbies and the Rebels at the end of his career. 146 caps, 56 tries, 1,036 points, 55% win rate. Like I say, any South African team, any Australian team that has over 50% win rate is going well. 2 titles, 6'3" and 103 kilos. He's one of those players you look at him and you go, he's probably not even a rugby player. And then you see him play and you go, okay, this dude is, you know, he puts 100% into every single play. Now we go to the outside backs. And I mean, with that one as well, you could have gone in at center, you could have gone Conrad Smith. You know, there's a few John de Villiers. There's a few players you could have put in there as well. But I just think Sterling Mortlock, he really deserves that. Outside backs, you got Brian Habana. And look, if you're wondering why Jonah Lomu is not in here, he never played over 50 games, unfortunately. Otherwise, he would have to be in here if it's just purely on skill. But Brian Habana, the dude has to go down as probably the best winger in history of Super Rugby, because, man, the try he scored to win the Bulls their first championship, or roundabout then, it was insane. I mean, it was extra time, last play of the game, you know, in the 83rd, 82nd minute, whatever it was. And he goes and scores like a 50, 60 meter try to win the game. I'll just see if I can actually pull it up real quick. Let's see if we can really just quickly play this. Brian Habana, game-winning try, Super Rugby. I know. Let's see if YouTube will allow this. Hey, let's have a look.
It's an all-South African affair. The Sharks hosting the Bulls. 25 internationals. Let's
see if we can skip a little bit forward here. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit here with the such a late one. So they need to try to win 19-13 down. And here he is. Beats one. I don't know how he just got through that gap to win in the game. The 81st minute. And he got it close to the post as well. So the kick, you know, pretty much could easily just slot that through. It was Derek O'Hart at the time as well. Then that's the thing, I was going for the Sharks in that final too, so definitely chose the wrong one. But anyway, Brian Habana deserves it. 118 caps, played for the Bulls and Stormers, 56 tries, 54% win rate, 2 titles, 5'11", 94 kilos. Then you got right wing, you got Israel Folau. Man, he's so close to being the fullback as well. If I didn't just absolutely think Christian Cullen was the man, right? The guy, if he kept playing in Super Rugby, he would have been the best possibly ever. You got Israel Folau, played for the Waratahs. He helped them win their only one title. He was just killing it. I mean, in the air, his running, his always beats a tackler. The dude was crazy, a revelation when he came from the NRL. 99 caps, 60 tries, which is a record. 54% win rate for an Australian team is crazy. One title, 6'4" and 103 kilos. So he has played wing and fullback, so that's why I put him at the wing. And he used to play wing the whole time for league as well. Then the outside backs, Christian Cullen, I mean, fullback, played for the Hurricanes 1996 to 03, 85 caps and 56 tries. So that's only 4 tries less than Folau and 14 games less. 46% win rate obviously shows how bad the Canes were back then. And he's only 5'11" and 85 kilos while playing. And it just shows how elusive he was. Now we move to the bench. And like I say, the bench players is not because they're worse than the starters. I think it's just literally nowadays the bench is just as even as the starters. So to me, it's a whole 23, not just the starting 15. So you got Malcolm Marx from the Lions. Yes, we finally got a player in there for my boys. Played for the Lions from 2015 to 2019 when Ackerman was coaching. You know, that's when the Lions were going so well. You can see, look at that. 66 games, 30 tries, so nearly 1 every 2 games, and 70% win rate. So it just shows how good the Lions were going. Like I said, they made 2 grand finals in a row. They lost both of them. 6'2", 116 kilos, an absolute beast. And unfortunately, he had to go overseas. And I mean, no one really stays at the Lions, right? I mean, it's kind of sad. We're a team that kind of grows these players through and they just move to either the Sharks or the Stormers because there's more money there. Then you got Tony Woodcock from the Blues, used to play for North Harbour, which was my local team when I lived in New Zealand. Also played for the Highlanders for 1 year. 149 games, 10 tries, a 49% win rate, which only dropped under 50% because of the Highlanders, because they were that bad. 1 title with the Blues. He's 6 foot and 120 kilos. And at number 18, the ever reliable, 179 caps, 3 tries, 67% win rate, 3 titles, 6'1", 122 kilos, Owen Franks from the Crusaders and also played for the Hurricanes as well. And we move on to the next part of the bench. You got Sam Whitelock. You have to put him in there. Crusaders 2010 to 2023, 13 years, 182 caps, 9 tries, 74% win rate for 182 games. Just doesn't know how to lose. 7 titles, 6'8" and 120 kilos. Just a New Zealand rugby legend, right? Then you got David Pocock, who I said just missed out on the starting gig. Played for the Western Force, played for the Brumbies. He was born in Zimbabwe, had a Zimbabwean citizenship and South African one. Would have been good if, the Springboks could have snagged him, but I think he brought Aussie rugby back into the fold. He was just such a good player. The dude, whenever there was a breakdown, you can't lie. From pretty much, for the years that he played in Super Rugby, he really, put it to everyone. The whole league was on notice. I think the years are wrong there for his career as well. I might have done a bit of a typo there. So 112 caps, 19 tries, 45% win rate because of the Western Force part. And he's 6 foot and 103 kilos. And he had a motor, right? He could 80 minutes every single game. And you could see it looked 1 minute like he was just absolutely out of gas. And then the next minute he's winning 2 penalties in a row for you. Just absolute beast. Then you got Aaron Smith as the backup 9 for the Highlanders, 2011 to 2023, 185 caps, 35 tries, 51% win rate, and that is good. For the Highlanders, he won that 1 title with the Highlanders, a 51% win rate. If you're not a Southern Hemisphere or Super Rugby fan, I don't think you understand how good a 51% win rate is for the Highlanders. And then he's 5'7" and 82 kilos. So, a classic number 9. Now, as a utility as well, Carlos Spencer can kind of fill in at 12 and at 10. Played for the Blues most of his career and 1 year for the Lions. So I'm claiming that. That's 2 players now for the Lions. Played from 1996 through to 2010. Won the inaugural, 2 comps in a row for the Blues in 96 and 97. 60% win rate, 3 titles, and 5'10" and 95 kilos. 3 titles with the Blues, that is, obviously. And his win rate was like 68% with the Blues. And then obviously the games he had with the Lions, they were like the worst team in the comp at the time. So it really dropped his win rate, unfortunately. Then you got Mills Muliaina. I mean, this could have gone a lot of ways. I mean, it could have gone... Of course, his name is now forgetting me. The fullback from... Let's see if I can find him here. You know, Francois Steyn from the Sharks. He could have been in there. You could have gone Lotti Takiri. You could have gone Kurtley Beale from the Waratahs. The guy was great. Adam Ashley Cooper, another player who could have gone in. Ben Smith from the Highlanders as well. All these players could have been in that utility spot. But Muliaina, the dude was just professional. He never had a bad game. He hardly ever dropped a ball. 110 caps, 30 tries, 60% win rate. And when he went to the Chiefs, it was a big loss for the Blues. But he really brought the Chiefs into kind of being a good team. Because same thing with the Chiefs. You know, for many years, they were a very bad Super Rugby team. Then he went there. They got a couple of good signings, a couple of good players. And then suddenly they became, you know, one of the superpowers where they won, I think, 2 championships in a row as well. So he won 3 titles, I think 1 of the Blues, 2 of the Chiefs. He was 6 foot and 93 kilos. And like I said, a 60% win rate. The coach, there's only one coach that's going to be in Super Rugby, is Scott Robertson. Sorry, I didn't even write his name down. So Scott Robertson, who's now the coach for the All Blacks. Razor is his nickname. So he coached the Crusaders for 117 games for 98 wins. 84% win rate. That is, I mean, in a professional era, that is just ridiculous and crazy. He won 7 championships in a row, which is insane. And a couple of those were when the South African teams were still in there as well. So it's not like it's now like the Super Rugby Pacific where it's way less teams, etc. He done it. And he used to play as well for the Crusaders for quite a few years as well. He's 6'3", and when he was playing, he was 109 kilos. He used to be a flanker, actually. You can see it here. There's a total teams he got. As it lines up, Beast, Cody, Heyman, Brad Thorne, Matt Field, George Smith, Kieran Reid, Richie McCaw, Frida Priya, Dan Carter, Ma Nonu, Sterling Mortlock, Habana, Falau, Cullen, Marks, Woodcock, Franks, Whitelock, Pocock, Smith, Spencer, and Muliaina. Let me know what you would change in this. I mean, what changes would you make? Who would you bring in? Why would you bring him in? And like I say, I mean, we all can have a different team, right? We all have our favorite players from when we're growing up. We all have the players who were the best at the time. And like I say, you know, even these older players, if they had the access to the professionalism of nowadays with all the supplements, I mean, the gym gear, the training programs, the full-time staff who help you get to your goals, the tape now, everything like that. Imagine the players back in the 90s, the 80s who were the best. Imagine how good they would have been now with those natural instincts. It would have been next level. It definitely would have been next level. But anyway, I'll make a team. I think we'll make a team over the next month or so for every competition. So we'll do the best ever for this, the best ever for the URC, the best ever for the Premiership, the best ever for the top 14. And we'll see when we compare those teams to each other, and we can actually compare them and see how they would go against each other. I think it'll be quite interesting to see, you know, how they all go against each other. But let me know what you think about it. Do you agree with the team? What would you change? Let me know below. Like the video if you did like these sorts of videos. And please subscribe as well if you want to see future videos. Thank you for watching. And